Hello, it is Nancy Juetten. I am the leader of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook community. And I'm so excited to be live today with a special guest. And before I introduce you, I want to just double check and see how things are going because sometimes there are technical issues. And I just got a message from Jackie Jacobs asking, are you live? Are you going live? And I just want to double check my phone to make sure everything's A-OK because sometimes there are glitches and gosh, don't we know that? Oh, we're live, going great. I'm just going to, there we go. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we're live. Everything's fine. Okay. If you are a member of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, you know that every Monday about 1 o'clock Pacific time, I go live with my Learn More to Earn More live show. And if you are not yet a member of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook community, because you're seeing this on YouTube and you haven't yet joined us, I hope that you will join us in the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, because we are a fast-growing group of action-taking speakers, experts, and authors up to big things, and we all want to raise our voice, make our impact, and make money every step of the way. And we are going to get started with that right away with a very powerful interview. I also want to let you know that there will be a follow-up to today's call at 2:30, where I will tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the call. So stay tuned all the way to the end. Okay, so let me introduce you to our amazing guest. Kelly Falardeau is a burn survivor since the age of 2, where she had burns on 75% of her body. She found a way to go from near death to success, from the ugly scar-faced girl to the TEDx stage twice. Fierce Woman of the Year, a 7-time international best-selling author, a recipient of the Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Medal and YWCA Woman of Distinction. A documentary about her life called Still Beautiful launched on TV plus Goalcast, and launched a video that has been viewed almost 10 million times. Now she's a full-time Amazon best-selling strategist, and she's coaching people to become best-selling authors. Kelly, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure and such an honor. When I watched your Goalcast video last week, honestly, I had Kleenex in my hand. I was so moved by your personal story and the magnitude of impact that you've made by sharing it. So why don't you just sort of give us the Cliff Notes version of what happened, just so those who didn't have the opportunity to yet watch that will understand how a spark turned into a flame of a completely different color.
I know, that video when Goalcast sent me the final video, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible when someone can take your story and when you've lived your story, sometimes you don't see the power or the impact that your story has. But when they showed me that video, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like incredible, and it was so surreal. It didn't even feel like it was my life, right? But my picture's in there, so obviously it was my life. But we found they got like something like 1 million views in 6 hours when they launched that video. So so anyways, basically, I got burnt as a 2-year-old. We were living on a farm and my cousins were throwing shingles in the fire, and a spark came out and landed on my dress, and I exploded, and I ended up with burns to 75% of my body. So I ended up having to spend 4 months in the hospital, and every 2 days they would put me in the operating room to do surgery on me. And then every 2 years, until I was about 20 years old, I'd have to have more surgery because they needed me to grow so that I would have more skin for them to work with.
Wow.
So my whole life was all about, when was my next surgery and would this one work and can they make me feel better or look better? And, as a little girl, we grow up wanting to be the princess. And we want to be that beautiful princess like in Snow White and Cinderella. And I knew that I was never going to be that princess because the princess is beautiful. And I was covered with ugly scars. So how could I be beautiful?
Well, you've certainly proved with your message that you are. And I hope that for those who have not watched your Goalcast video, that they will, because it is just so inspiring. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on at the start of a new year is that a lot of folks have been crying in their beer, if you will, about what happened in 2020 and what could have been and what didn't happen and whatever limitations were put on us because of circumstances beyond our control. And you are someone who had a situation happen to you that was clearly random, and you haven't let it stop you from accomplishing magnificent things in your life. And I think anybody who's been crying in their beer about anything can really be inspired by what it is that you have to share. So what is the gift that you have found in your own experience so far with this?
Well, sure. Well, and I did end up getting married. I did up having, three beautiful kids. I actually lost a baby in between my daughter and the twins. And then
You
10
had
years
twins?
ago, I decided I wanted to be
I'm
a lawyer.
sorry. Whoa, slow the phone down. You had twins?
I have twin boys. Yeah, they're 17 now.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right? And and then 10 years ago, I decided that I wasn't in love with my husband anymore, and I was in a toxic marriage, and so I divorced him. And he said I could only leave if I gave him the house and the kids. I know, right? And as a mom, the last thing you want to do is give up your house and your kids. But I knew that if that was the only way that I was going to get to be happy, that I needed to do it. And so I did, but I still saw my kids every day. And then at that point, too, is when I decided I wanted to be a speaker. And along with that, I also had a full-time job and another business. And so my boss came to me, and this is like 4 months after my separation. She says to me, okay, you got to make a decision. Because I was already doing some speaking. I'd already written my first book. I was on to my second book. And she said, okay, you come to work. You're making tons of mistakes. It was the best, like it was the worst performance review I'd ever had in my life. And she says, you got to make a decision. Are you going to be excited to come to work on Monday or relieved if you don't have to? And I was like shocked. Like I was just hit right to my core because I knew that I wanted to be a speaker full time, but I had just left my marriage 4 months earlier. And I was like, how am I now going to go from being living in my aunt's house, like in the basement, to now being like completely unemployed? And so then I went home that day and I was reading this Christian businesswoman's magazine. And every second page that I looked at said, follow your passion full time. I couldn't see anything else, just follow your passion. And then I flipped the page, follow your passion full time. And then I came to the middle and it had in big block letters that says, why do you not trust that God will provide you everything you need? And I was so mad. I slammed it shut. And I was like, I get it. I know I'm supposed to be a speaker full time, but how am I going to do this? Like, I don't know how to do it. And again, I asked myself that question. Are you going to be excited to come to work on Monday or relieved if you don't have to? So I went into work and I sent my boss an email and I said, you're right. Today's my last day. And I packed up everything in my office and I went home. So then what happened is all these incredible things like the awards that I won and the medal from the Queen and all this incredible stuff, becoming a best-selling author, and it was just absolutely incredible. So now let's fast forward to a year ago. So I'm speaking all over the world, and like last fall I had something like 13 speaking gigs in 8 different cities in 2 months. Like I was swamped. And I started coaching people to be authors and get their books out there. And then COVID hit.
Right. Were these paid speaking gigs also?
Pardon me?
Were these paid speaking gigs also?
Yeah. And now exactly. Like I'm a keynote speaker, right? Like I don't do speak to sell, at least not at that time. I'm, paid speaking gigs. And COVID hit. I lost all my speaking gigs. So I didn't have a whole lot, but still, I still lost them. And I'm thinking, okay, what next? Right? What's next? And, I spent a week on the couch. I did. Like, I was like, I don't know what to do. We can't leave our house and world shut down. What am I going to do? I have 3 kids to support. And how am I going to make money? And believe it or not, 2020 was my best year ever.
So what you're just describing there is what I like to call the checking into pity party hotel and having an overextended stay.
Yep.
Sometimes the world just blows up and you had no idea that whatever came knocked on your door, and sometimes you just have to feel the feelings and let them move through you before you can see what could happen. So what do you attribute your success in 2020 as your best year ever? I have a theory. One is that when you're sheltering in place, there's no better time to write a book, because what the heck else are you going to do? But I'm just curious, what really made it happen
Was
for
it?
you in 2020?
Well, I went full time into coaching people how to write books and become authors. And one of the things that I was scared of before this all hit was I was always scared of planning events, because I didn't want to plan a live event, put out a bunch of money, and have nobody show up. And so I was really scared of that. And in January, I did an event in one of our little cities, and I had something like 30 people show up. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And what I did is I did pay what you can, because again, I didn't know what people would want to pay. And so I made something like $1,500 in that one day. And then when COVID hit, I was like, okay, there's nothing holding me back from doing events. Zoom is free, or you can pay the $15 a month. Of course, I can afford $15 a month for Zoom. And I thought, well, let's just put it up on Facebook. I'm going to tell people this is a weekend. I'm going to do an event. It's a pay what you can. Like, some people paid me $40, some people paid me $150 or $200 to teach them. And I thought, I have no risk. What is holding me back? And I just put it up on Facebook, and I said, okay, I'm going to do a 1-day event on Zoom. I'm going to teach you how to publish a book in 7 easy steps. Who wants in? And I set up a PayPal link, and I had something like 30 people. And
That's
so
brilliant.
what was cool about that was that one of the girls that took my book class, she had cancer, and she was going through chemo at the time. And she said, you know what? I want to thank you for making that a virtual event, because if you had done it in person, I wouldn't have been able to participate. And I thought, cool, right? Like, how awesome is that? Well, now she's a best-selling author, and then she just put it up on my Facebook that she's now onto her 2nd book
Oh,
in 1 year. And I thought, how amazing is that? That, you know, I was able to put on this event, and someone with cancer was able to do it. And now she's realizing her dream of being an author.
well, that's a beautiful story. I love that. So, so you're coaching people to get their books done, and they're getting their books done and creating bestsellers. And one of the other things you discovered is that there was a silver lining in the shelter in place, because the reach of your work could extend across countries, across borders, around the world without anyone leaving home.
Exactly. And what was happening is I found, like, there was people in Australia in my course, people in Paris, in London, in Africa, right? Like, Canada and the US, like, people all over the world. I was able to actually make a bigger impact by going virtual than I was by just doing something in my own city or in some other city.
That's so brilliant. I just love that. So, what do you love best about coaching people to get their books done?
You know what? I love making the phone call. I love when I get to phone them up and say, hey, guess what? You made the bestseller list. And they're like, what? How did that happen? It's my favorite thing to do. It's so funny. Like, one of my clients, she wrote a dog book. Whoops, I don't know if you guys can see it. And it's just a little 4x7 book. And in it is pictures of her and her dog, you know. And so we did a bestseller launch just before Christmas. And, we didn't know, like, with Christmas, you never know if that's a good time to do a bestseller launch or not. But I actually had 3 authors become best-selling authors right before Christmas.
Oh,
And
that's so great.
yeah,
So a lot of people struggle with the whole book thing. You know, they know that if they don't get their book done during their lifetime, they will have forgone something that was on their bucket list for a lifetime, or that their dream won't be fulfilled, or there's so many reasons what, they can't get organized. Do you have certain pillars that you like to teach people about why now is the time and how they can quickly get organized so that this can be their year to become that best-selling author?
absolutely. And that is the thing is a lot of people don't even know how to write the first word. They have an idea, they know they should write a book, they know that they've got a message they want to get out there, but they're like, how do I start? Like, how do I write that first word? And so that's what my 4-day challenge is all about in next week. It's all about getting people to get super clear on who do you want to help? Because when you know who your avatar is, then you know who you want to help, right? Like, I'm not going to, like, if you want to write,
Oops.
oh, am I still here?
I can hear your voice, but I can't see your face.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. So, if you want to write a business book, you don't go and try and write a children's book, right? Like there's different ways of doing it. And so you have to get super clear on what is that book that you want to write. Because once you know who it is you want to help and who your avatar is, then you can take the next step, which is what kind of book do you want to write? Right? Do you want to do a compilation book? Do you want to do a children's book? Do you want to do a how-to book or a memoir? Like, what is the different type of book you want to write? And then we take them into what are the messages that you want to give them? And those messages actually end up being their chapters of their book. So that's what the challenge is all about, is let's get you super clear, because once you know, then it's easy to put that pen to a paper because you know what you want to tell them.
Absolutely. Last year when I don't know, I'm hearing some clicking, but in over the summer, I decided I would redo the Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook.
Right?
And I figured it's going to be for speakers, experts, and authors who need to speak up virtually in a COVID-19 pandemic so that they can raise their voice, make their impact, and make money every step of the way. And
Yeah.
then I created all these systems and tools around how we could do it for everything that needed to be done. I'm hearing some clicking, and I don't know what that is. Are you typing by any chance?
No, I'm not typing, but I'm hearing some clicking also. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
I'm hearing it too, and so forgive me. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try using my headset just to see if that might make things
Sure.
a little bit better.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if it's coming from my end or your end.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can hear you.
But
I
I
don't
think
think that's
it's still
helping. I
kind
don't
of
know what it is.
clicking a bit, isn't it?
Well, we're going to just believe that it's going to be fine. We're going to just believe that it's going to be fine. Sorry for the tech issues, people. I don't know what. I'm just trying something. Tick, tick, tick. Huh. Interesting. Well, we'll just keep going. Anyway, what I was going to say is that sometimes we think that becoming a bestseller is so hard, but it's amazing what you can accomplish with know-how and some tenacity and some action.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. And it's funny because I get a lot of people that come into my course and they say, okay, how do I become a best-selling author? And the first thing I say to them is, well, do you have a book? Well, no. Well, then, okay, let's get your book done. And at that same time, then we'll work on you becoming a best-selling author. But first of all, we got to get your book done, because once we got your book done, then we can work on making it a bestseller. But the first thing is just getting that book done, which is exactly what my 4-day challenge is about, is just about getting your book started so that you have that clear plan and you can start writing it.
So since you mentioned it, I want to point out that Kelly is a member of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group. I don't know what's going on with that sound. It's terrible sound.
Yeah, I don't know if it's mine.
And I apologize for the noise, but this is not a joint venture promotion. This is not an affiliate promotion. This is pure championship of Kelly for creating an event that can serve so many of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her link on the screen. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about the challenge? You know, when does it start? What time are the calls? And what is the outcome that everyone's going to get as a direct result of participating?
Great. Okay, so it's a 4-day challenge called Get Your Book Started, and it's free, and it starts January 18th to the 21st. And so in these 4 days, each day will be some homework for you that's going to help you get super clear on what your book is and an outline. You will actually develop an outline for your book. And once you have that outline, then you're going to get started on your first chapter. And we're going to give you some simple strategies that you can use so you can do it quick. So you don't have to do it in 5 or 6 months. You can do it in a week or 2 weeks. And we've actually had that happen where even with this, Oscar Monday book, which is my friend's, her dog book, she basically took her Facebook statuses and then made them into a book. And that's how easy it can be. And so I'm all about getting it done. So I want to make sure that everybody has clear strategies to get their book done, because there's nothing more annoying to me than someone that's got a book and they're taking a year to do it. So I want to get people on a path so that they can get it done. And then the 5th day is a bonus day, which is all about advanced book marketing strategies. And that's where you come in, Nancy, because we're going to have you to do a presentation on how to write, your an exciting bio, not a boring bio like I write.
Well, I got to tell you, Kelly, when I read your bio, I mean, your life experience is so powerful that I don't know what's going on with this. It's so disappointing that I'm having a sound problem. I don't know if that makes it any better. Your bio is the least boring bio that I've read in a very long time. And not everybody has the story that you have, but everybody does have a story.
But
So
you know what I think it is? I think what happens with a bio, and this is, I think the reason people don't do a good bio is because they're scared to brag about themselves, right? Because we're taught we're not allowed to brag. And it's really hard for me. Like, I got some incredible credentials. Like, I was just named on Christmas Day by Global TV as one of the most inspirational people of 2020. And so it's been really hard for me to put that out there because I don't want people to think that I'm all that. But the thing is that those kind of credentials are what are going to make people want to work with me. And so that's why I want to share with you, like, and all your audience members, don't be so shy to put yourself out there. I know it's really, really hard. And it's hard for me. Like, it's hard for me to say that 10 million people watch my Goalcast video, right? But it's true. And I'll tell you what. Like, when I watched that the video clip that Global TV did when they on Christmas Day, they showed the 2-minute clip. And here's the thing, like, it's like I said, I'm really humble, and I honestly don't like saying anything great about myself. But I do, because I know I need to. Anyways, in that clip, I talk about how the kids were calling me the Scarface girl, and how I saw a picture of me that someone had drawn, and it was a circle with scribbles all over it, and it said Scarface. And right after that clip, Global TV showed this little 9-year-old girl saying, "I'm so glad I got to hear her speak. I now feel beautiful about myself." Now that melted my heart. It brought me to tears to think that a 9-year-old girl now feels beautiful because she heard my message. And that,
and
to
yet,
me, is the power of why we need to get our message out there.
well, and how many people are stopping short of sharing what's special and different about them? Because that was going to be another thing I was going to say. I have no idea what that noise is. It's so upsetting to me. It is, there are many people that teach people how to get their books done. There's dozens of them. There could be hundreds of them.
Yeah.
But by you stepping up and sharing your story in your way, nobody has the journey. You went from pay what you can to what you've created now with a global following. And that's not just, that's just your story. That's what makes you special and different and preferred. And if that's what's right and what's going to call people forward, then they should be working with you. They absolutely should be working with you.
Thank you. You know, and it's true. Like my mom told me how to take lemons and make lemonade out of it. And so, you know, that's the whole thing with our stories too, is that we are meant to live through our journey so that we can help other people. My mom told me how to take lemon and out of it. That to me is what life is all about. Like, it's really easy to see my life as a tragedy, and a lot of people do. Like, a lot of people will look at me and they'll say, oh my God, poor Kelly, look at her with all her scars on her body. But then when they see that I go out, and I've been to Africa, like just the other day, Facebook reminded me that 8 years ago I was in Africa. And the reason I was in Africa was because there was a big fire in the slums and 100 people died from this big explosion. And they wanted me to come to give all these people hope that they too could have a great life. And so it's been incredible to know that my story has had that kind of an impact on people. And so that's what I want to encourage every single one of you to get out there. And I don't know, have you ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes.
Okay, so just after Christmas, I was in Mexico, and I read that book again. It was my second time reading it, and what I loved about that book is that so many people stay stuck, and they think it's the only thing that they can do. They think they need to just stay in their job and wait for, you know, COVID to be over, and then everything will go back to normal. Well, it's not. This is our new normal, right? Like, some things are going to go back, you know, where we're maybe not going to have to wear a mask and we'll be able to go out and do things. But life isn't going to go back to the way it was. So it's up to us to decide where are we going to go. And so in that book, it talks about how some people stay stuck and other people decide that they're going to like move forward and pivot and they're going to do whatever it takes. I would not have done better in 2020 than ever if I had just waited for people to give me more speaking gigs.
So, what do your kids and your former husband think about what you've accomplished so far?
What does my former husband think of what I've accomplished?
And your kids too.
Well, you know what's really cool is that I don't know what my former husband thinks. I think it depends on his mood. You know, when we were first in our divorce, no, he was angry with me and he thought that I was not going to get a job because I was trying to um, underemploy myself.
Oh,
Right? What he didn't understand is that in business, you have to build it. It doesn't just happen overnight where all of a sudden now I'm making a 6-figure income. Right? It takes time to build up to that. What my kids love about it is that they've seen me going from a struggling single mom to one who follows her dreams, to one who goes and creates things, right? Like my kids, I learned how to paint, like what, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I learned to paint. And then from that painting, I made it into blankets. And the blanket says, you are loved, you're needed, you're wanted. And then they saw me take those blankets, and I had 3,000 of them made in China. And then I went around to different Rotary clubs and I asked people to sponsor blankets, and then we gave them away to the kids at burn camp. Well, they got to come with me to these camps and give blankets away, right? They got to help me when we had this big giant fire in one of our cities. 50,000 people were evacuated from the city. We went to one of the cities and they were accepting donations. And they said to me, what have you got? And I said, well, we have blankets. And they said, okay, we need them for the firefighters. The firefighters have nothing to sleep with. They're sleeping on the bare ground. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I opened up my trunk and I said, here, take them all. And there was like 125 blankets in there. And we gave them to the firefighters. And my kids got to be there with us.
And what happened then? That sounds like a 3-handkerchief moment.
Yeah, they love being able to be a part of something where I went and took a blank canvas and made something out of it. Right?
I know that's how I knew I met you somewhere before in my previous life, because I remember that story like it was yesterday. We crossed paths before I know it. I just know it. I just know it. So my fondest hope is that everyone who's watching and everyone who listens by replay will be inspired by what Kelly has shared today and want to be part of her 5-day challenge. And when you do that, I can't wait to hear about the book that you create that becomes a bestseller, because I know for myself, when my own workbook preview achieved Amazon #1 bestselling status, what flowed through my body that day, I just couldn't believe it. It was like, it's such a validation of the hard work, but it's also a huge piece of credibility that opens doors for you as an expert who can speak and talk and train about something or inspire or change lives because of. And isn't that really what it is about, raising your voice and making your impact in the first place?
I totally agree with you. And for anybody who's in business, the fastest way to get expert credibility or expert authority is to write a book and become a best-selling author. And nowadays it's easier than ever. It's still work. Absolutely, it's still work. And a lot of people think you have to sell like 10,000 books, and you don't.
No.
And especially the way I do it, like with my strategy, you don't have to sell 10,000 books. And so I just totally believe that being a best-selling author has totally opened doors for me. I still remember last November, I was speaking in Phoenix at the Diversity Leadership Conference. And at that conference, you have to submit your title and your bio and your picture and everything. And so I submitted my title and I said, Kelly Falardeau, multiple TEDx talker, 6-time best-selling author, burn survivor. Well, when they went to introduce me to these 1,000 people that were at the conference, they changed my title. My title was multiple TEDx talker, 6-time best-selling author, Kelly Falardeau. And when they introduced me, they said, we even have a multiple TEDx talker, 6-time best-selling author here at our conference, Kelly Falardeau. And I tell you, like, event planners, they want people who have that credibility. Like if an event planner is trying to decide between someone who doesn't have a book to speak on their stage and someone who's a best-selling author, they're going to choose the best-selling author hands down every time.
Well, so let me ask you a question. I know you said, I completely agree with you, and congratulations. And since you're getting booked to speak, and just let's talk about it pre-COVID-19, is there one point of negotiation that you've learned about negotiating for top speaking fees that you would be willing to share with our listeners today?
What should I say? The big thing is, like, when I was able to say that multiple TEDx talker, best-selling author, and when I was also able to say that I had a Goalcast video with almost 10 million views, those things were what the event planner said, I gotta have you. It's true. It really is. And like I said, as hard as it is to brag about yourself, what you have to do is take yourself out of the situation and just pretend that you are writing about somebody else and that you're saying it for them. And then just don't get so attached to it, right? Like now I have to get used to saying that I am the most inspirational person of 2020.
Well, darn. Couldn't
Right, but
happen. Couldn't happen to a
I know
nicer
how hard
girl.
it is, right? Because it's hard. But the thing is, that is what the event planner is gonna grab onto and say, we have the most inspirational person of 2020 on our stage, right? So even though it's hard, make sure that the event planners know that, but also they want to know what's in it for the audience. So one of the things that I've been doing is anytime someone on Facebook says that I'm amazing or says something good about me, I take a little clip of it and I keep it. So for example, somebody just put on Facebook today that I am one of the most inspiring and empowering women they know. That is excellent. That is excellent little testimonial. And you take a little screenshot of it, and you can use that for the event planner and say, look, here is just 3 snippets of things people have just said about me recently, right?
Brilliant.
Even if it's not me being on stage, it doesn't matter. It's just that someone heard about me on Facebook. They've been following me for a little while, and that's what they said. Well, that is a testimonial. So use that.
Yes. Yes, I couldn't agree more. And sometimes the things that people say in the way that they say them is powerful proof that makes your star shine even brighter than you ever thought it could. And so, brilliant advice. But since I'm having audio trouble and I don't know why, and I deeply apologize, I want to cut this a little bit short because I think we've covered what needed to be said. Who's going to run, not walk, to sign up for the January book challenge? I'm going to, the link to participate is scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And so I hope you will run and not walk. I will also post it live in a chat so it's easily clickable. And then I want to say one more thing, is that at 2:30 today, I'm going to be doing a live Zoom call in a private room where we can talk a little bit more about what Kelly talked about today. And then I know some of you are thinking about whether or not now's the right time to jump in with the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp or the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Inner Circle. And a one-on-one call is a sales call, but a one-to-many Q&A session is just a very comfortable way to come on in and ask questions and get support and see if this is the right time for you to jump in with me as your guide. So I will also share those linked, the Zoom link for that private Zoom room. It'll be live again at 2:30 in the Zoom room to work with 1, 2, 5, 10, or as many people as would like to join me, see if perhaps now is the right time for us to journey forward. And so, Kelly, thank you so much for being here today and being a light for what's possible, for overcoming what self-perceived limitations we might have, and to blow through it to create a 6-figure business that's touching and transforming lives around the globe. You are an inspiration. You're a rock star, and I'm so honored that we got to share this time together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am just so honored that you wanted to do this with me because, people think writing a book is so hard. And one of the things that a lot of my clients say is that they love my teaching style and they love how easy I make it. So those are the 2 things that I love. I love getting that feedback that people love my teaching style. That's awesome. I love it.
Well, and now they experience you live in this very conversational way, and how much better way to get to know you than just in a beautiful conversation, which is why I love podcasting and interviewing people so much. So with all that said, many blessings to all of you. I will see you live at 2:30 in the private Zoom room. And Kelly, I hope you get hundreds and thousands of people to come to your challenge. Thank you for being part of our community.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.